I have been requested to update every night whatever I come to know about it. The news from Iraq is not very much pleasing. But in any case, we have been repeatedly requested by the representatives of ulama in Iraq to pray for them and not to forget them in our prayers. Basra last night was in the hands of Saddam again, and early in the morning they entered Basra. At night they were attacked by the Mujahideen and they were driven out, and most of them were arrested or killed. This morning they have re-entered Basra, and it is expected that they will be again attacked by Mu'mineen and Mujahideen tonight. Because the nighttime ambush and the nighttime fighting is in the favor of Mu'mineen because of the acute imbalance in the power of artillery and ammunition that we hold. As far as Najaf and Karbala is concerned, Najaf and Karbala is still in the hands of Mujahideen and Mu'mineen, but the attack from Saddam's side is still on. And there's unconfirmed news that so far nearly 10,000 Mu'mineen have been killed between Najaf and Karbala. It is also reported that Allied forces have already landed in Baghdad, but this is not confirmed. However, there is one thing for certain, that one of the Iraqi Saddam's aircraft was shot down today by the Allied forces. So we hope that the Allied forces have landed. But after the landing, it is not known whether they are in favor of Mu'mineen or in favor of Saddam. The only news which has given some hope is that in the hometown of Saddam Hussein and his people, which is called Tikrit, Mu'mineen there have already started uprising, and there is already intense war and scuffle going on between Saddam's forces and Mu'mineen in Tikrit itself. But as far as other parts, southern parts of Iraq are concerned, they are in the hands of Mu'mineen. As far as the community is concerned, we, on your behalf, the World Federation, as you know, has already sent nearly 1,000 kilograms of medicines last Friday. And Alhamdulillah, today we have the news that it has already crossed the border of Iran to enter Iraq for the use of those who are wounded. The list of medicine was prepared by themselves, and we have tried to supply according to their demands and their needs. After my appeal for funds, so far I have received 3,300 pounds, and this money is not enough, and I do not know how much more would be required, because the people are not only suffering in Iraq itself, but they are suffering outside Iraq also, who have run away from Iraq after having napalm burns and all the wounds from chemical weapons. Most of them have now crossed the border, a very, very narrow border into Syria. And according to my own contact this morning, I know that there are families stranded in Syria who are originally Shias of Iraq, who don't have even clothes or don't have even food, and nor do they have any medicine. So Mu'mineen who can give, may give generously towards this. The check of 3,300 pounds has got to be handed over anyway, because we don't want to keep this money. But if this money can be added to and something more can come, we will like to make a donation which is handsome and which can be of some use. Therefore the appeal is that from whatever sadaqat, nuzurat, or whatever you hold, please give generously for the people who are in affliction. And inshallah, inna Allah la yudhi'u ajr al-muhsineen. Allah does not allow the efforts of those who do good to be wasted. So whatever you can afford, kindly give it either to the Jamaat's table or to me, for the sake of this money to be transmitted immediately in the month of Ramadan to those who need it. On the question of fiqh, yesterday we were discussing masail related to safar, but in the meantime there have been some references from people asking questions, so one or two questions I would like to clarify. One, those ladies who are in period and they are not fasting, they are allowed to read Quran Majid. Quran Majid can be recited. What they cannot recite from is those surahs in which there are wajib sajda. Those are called al-azaim. Those surahs which hold wajib sajda ayah, they may not be, they should not be recited by those ladies who are in period. But if there is a sort of a habit to complete Quran Majid, the beginning surahs right from Baqarah up to 20th parah can be read, and it's not haram nor is it forbidden. What they have got to be careful about is that they will not touch the script of Holy Quran, because while they are in hayd, the script, the writing of Quran must not be touched. Similarly, inshallah, when the nights of Qadr will come, all those ladies who may be in their periods can take part in a'mal without any hesitation. They can read the dua, they can take part in the particular a'mal of Layali al-Qadr without any hesitation, and this should be known. In fact, I have said it earlier, that Imam Rida salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi said, and this is the hadith which has been recorded by ulama and it has also been accepted as true, that any lady who is in her period, when the time of namaz comes, she may go to the musalla with wudu and spend those minutes which she normally spent in her namaz in any other prayers like dua, tasbih, salawat or istighfar. At least if she normally took 15 minutes in namaz, she must spend those 15 minutes with ibadat and worship. Because it does not mean that she is in period, therefore she does not remember her Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that she has been discarded. The exemption from namaz is not a punishment. It is actually the grace of Allah and rahmat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they have been exempted. So they will go on musalla as usual. They will not pray namaz. But apart from namaz, any prayers like tasbih, istighfar, salawat or anything, or dua even, can be read. Apart from this, there is a question of mouthwash. According to the fatwa of Ayatullah Sayyid al-Khawi, to wash your mouth for the wajib namaz wudu is allowed. That means it is sunnah, for example, to wash mouth 3 times. For wajib namaz, yes, it is allowed. That means if for dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, subh, one takes 3 times mouthwash, it is allowed, provided he takes care that water does not get down as much as he can. But for other purposes, sunnat namaz or just like that, it is recommended not to do the mouthwash. Third thing, about brushing the teeth. The brushing of the teeth is allowed. It is not haram, nor does it break any namaz. So what has one got to be careful about is that if the brush is wet, then one has got to be careful, because the wetness is coming from outside into the mouth. Then one has got to be careful that it does not go down the throat. If he can control himself and he does the brushing, then it's all right. Recommended thing is that when the brush is inserted into the mouth, it must be dry. And then we do it. And if you are using the paste, then the wetness is going from outside into the mouth. Be careful that nothing from the paste or nothing from the water with the paste goes down. And this can be done very carefully if one brushes his teeth. So it doesn't stop you from brushing your teeth. Now, about safar. I said yesterday And I say it again, that for those of us who live here in London, or any hometown where we live, the traveling does not start from home, gentlemen and ladies. If I want to travel this morning, it does not mean that because my departure is at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, therefore I start with breakfast. And I did not say yesterday, but today I say that Ayatollah Al-Khouyi says that whoever breaks the fast before actually becoming a traveler, he will not only give qada but also kafara. Therefore you are not, or we are not supposed to break the fast till we have actually crossed that limit which is called Hadd Tarakhus, as I explained yesterday. When we reach that Hadd, that limit where the township is left behind and we are now on the path on traveling, or when we are airborne and going, only then the roza automatically becomes batil, provided you are traveling before Dhuhr. If you are traveling after Dhuhr, then the day's roza is valid and there is no doubt about it. There is no need to break it. If you break it, you are committing a sin. Now, having said this, let us take an example. I am traveling from Bombay to London, which is my hometown. And I reach here early morning at 7 o'clock. And it is my Ramadan. I have reached my hometown before Dhuhr. Although Subh Sadiq entered before that, while I was still traveling. I was allowed to take breakfast then because I was still traveling. I did not. I did not commit anything that breaks the fast. And I entered London at 7 o'clock in the morning. I am allowed to make the niyyah of roza then and continue with my roza. So the thing is this, that when you come back to your hometown before Dhuhr, or you go to a place where you want to stay for more than 10 days or 10 days, and if you reach there before Dhuhr, and if you have not committed any act which breaks the fast, you can continue with the fast. Making niyyah when you reach that place at that particular time that my fast is on. This is what should be understood, that you are coming to your own place before Dhuhr, or you are reaching a place where you want to stay for 10 days or more before Dhuhr. You have not eaten, not done anything which breaks the fast, then the moment you reach, you make a niyyah and the fast will be off. This is one thing. For those people whose vocation is traveling, like conductors, air pilots, drivers, and so on, there is nothing like exemption. They are qaim, da'im in safar, constant travelers, frequent travelers. For them there is a fast. There is a fast. And God forbid if one undertakes a safar, a travel which is haram. Now, I don't know how to explain this, but there used to be a time when people used to travel from one place to another just to go and see a particular picture. A particular picture has been released in Birmingham. It is not here, and I want to go and view it. Now that safar which has started from here up to Birmingham is safar-e-ma'asiyat, safar-e-haram. In that safar, the namaz is not qasr, and the roza will be also kept. This is one example which I know because there used to be a time when people used to say that Mr. Mukesh has come. That is one thing. Second thing is, God forbid if somebody, it travels for the sake, and he's doing it for the sake of usurping somebody's right. He knows that he's going to fight a case in, say, Leicester or Peterborough, where a widow's, an orphan's, or even a mu'min brother's right will be usurped. He's just going there to grab it. That safar is safar-e-ma'asiyat. Whether he wins the case or he loses the case, that safar is safar-e-ma'asiyat, where he is going with the niyat of ghasb. So all those traveling which are conducted with the niyat of ma'asiyah, committing a sin, they are not exempted. There is full namaz, and they are not exempted from roza. The rest, inshallah, will follow. The mu'mineen should refer to me for whatever clarification they would like to have. I will make it from Mimbar so that it is clear. Because there are still masail conducted concerning salespeople, the people who conduct sales. They are salesmen, they have to travel. There are masail of those who have to go and come back the same day. We will deal with that. The ladies who will not keep fast because of period in this month, they have to pay qada after the month of Ramadan, preferably immediately or before the next Ramadan dawns. There is a qada for the fast left out. But for namaz which they leave during hayd, there is no qada. That should be understood. Yesterday, for the remaining time that I have at my disposal, I would like to speak about what we discussed last night about ibadah. Today we go one step further, and it is very important in a sense that it has got a direct bearing on our practical life. Especially today, when the cycle of life has started running so fast, when the life is becoming gradually so hectic that it has actually driven people dizzy and giddy. People do not know how to cope. It may not be a common knowledge, but it is true that people of whatever creed and belief they may be are gradually becoming dislocated actually. Some are losing faith in themselves. Some are actually suffering from complexes and even drawn down into the tunnels of nervous breakdown. Life is running so fast. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah wa salam alayhi forecast this in Nahj al-Balagha years ago, centuries ago, when he said there will come a time when the year will fly past like a month, and the month will run by like a week, and week will pass like a day, and days will pass as if they were hours. If you look behind, the last month of Ramadan seems to be just close by. And we are again in the month of Ramadan, and if inshallah life is there, we'll meet again very soon. It will be the month of Ramadan. But if we look into our lives, we find that the days are passing like anything. And the cases of misery, the cases of nervous tension come to us, come to Maulanas, come to the elders every day. Every day. There is a phone call, brother, the problem. Problems all of us have. But there are two types of people. One who break down under the stress of problems, and there's another who should not break, and they don't. Why? That is the problem I want to tackle today. Remember, only 3 days ago, I read in the press that there was one young Asian in Leicester who, because his companions and colleagues in the office were not talking to him politely and were not accepting his accomplishments, he was a brilliant boy, young boy of 23, but because nobody noted him, nobody noticed him, nobody acknowledged him, he took a very big dagger and killed himself. It was in the press. And he left a note to say, nobody seems to love me in this world. It is difficult for normal people to understand this as to why and what drove him to doing what he did. But this is a fact. It has happened. When we were young, we used to read one particular psychologist whose famous book is How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. It was claimed in his lifetime when he was alive that he had changed the lives of nearly 1 million people by that book particular as to how to win friends and influence people. Because everyone likes to win friends and everyone likes to influence people. Now when he wrote that book, it became a bestseller, there is no doubt about it. People read and pored over the pages. People read and reread, and there was hardly any language in which it was not translated. But at the age of 80, one nice morning, he and his wife both sat down in their sitting room, in a cozy sitting room, loaded their pistols and revolvers, aimed at their own forehead, and killed themselves, leaving a note behind to say that life was meaningless. At the decline of life, when death was already approaching, he would have died, if not today, some years or months later. He decided to complete his own life and to give it a full stop, telling the people that life was meaningless, while he had made lives meaningful for many people. What was missing? Somewhere something was missing. A man wrote a letter to Imam Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, saying, Yabna Rasulillah, what is the meaning of Allahu Samad? In Surah Qul Huwallah. The translation is, Allah is sufficient, does not need anybody for any of his existence. Muhtaj nahi hai. That is the actual meaning. But Imam alayhi salam wrote him back to say that the meaning of Allahu Samad has been given by Allah in the same surah after it. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. That is the meaning of Allahu Samad. He does not beget, nor is he begotten, and there is none, no one like him. The meaning is that the relationship between us as created and he as creator is not in any way special. Remember this. The relationship between he and us is only that of abd and ma'bud. We are the slaves, he is the master. That is the only relationship that we have. There is no such other relation. Because many people are under the impression that because I have done ibadat, therefore he has become now exclusively mine. That is not true. There is no exclusivity. Whatever we are doing is for ourselves, and that is what is demanded of being a slave. He is the master. In Islam, after having said this, immediately what Imam has said and the Prophet himself has said, Al-Islamu huwa taslim. To be a Muslim means to surrender and submit. What our young men and women, especially the boys, because if we don't understand the philosophy of Islam right from our childhood and as we grow into adolescence, when we grow into elderly people, then the things become rigorous, rigid, then it is difficult to change. You understand it from now, that life is not going to be bed of roses. It will have ups and downs. And Allah wants us that you are a Muslim, so you have surrendered and submitted to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we understand this, immediately as we realize this, because there is difference between realization and recognition. There are things in this world we recognize but we don't realize. All of us recognize that fire burns. But you realize the fire burns when you put your finger into the flame. Then you know what realization is. To recognize something else, to realize is something else. After having realized Islam, the first thing which enters into my mind is that for whatever comes into me, upon me, befalls, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better. I have reposed my faith in Him who is omnipotent, who is omniscient, who is ever present and who is wise. This is very important. Now, in a Muslim, the first thing which must arise is tawakkul. And the Western people have ridiculed tawakkul by writing, a Muslim is a fatalist. Now, if you read English books only, you will find that they are telling us, Muslim is a fatalist. You know what is a fatalist? Fatalist in Kiswahili is a very apt translation. Nimejaliwa kesho Mungu. Kesho Mungu, tomorrow. You give anything to your worker in East Africa, you give him, he goes and spends, and tell him, tomorrow he comes again and says, Bana Nisaidie, help me again. And you tell him, I gave yesterday. He said, I have already spent. But you have spent, you haven't thought, kesho Mungu. Second day, it is in the hands of Allah. This is a sort of fatalism that we have been accused of. Tawakkul is not fatalism. This is what I wanted to tell you. Tawakkul means to entrust someone and authorize. Just like a bridegroom comes here, he cannot read in Arabic. He gives Mulla Sahab wakalat to say, you read on my behalf. This is called tawakkul. He has entrusted his power unto you. Tawakkul is that, giving all that belongs to me into the hands of He who created me and who is the wisest. Now, if that is understood, one man came to Masjid al-Kufa when Imam al-Islam was sitting, and Imam al-Islam asked him, did you come walking? He said, no, I have come on my camel. Imam al-Islam said, where is the camel? He said, the camel is outside. Imam al-Islam said, did you tie him? He said, no. I have done tawakkul. It is in the hands of God, tawakkal to Allah. Imam al-Islam said, that is not the meaning of tawakkul. Because that will mean keeping the doors of a shop open, unlocked, and say tawakkul. Imam al-Islam said, go and tie it first. After having tied, and after having made sure that as far as your efforts are concerned, it is secure, then say tawakkaltu ala Allah. This is what Quran says to Prophet. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. When you have already come to a firm decision, then leave it in my hands. This is the meaning. So, what I want to say is that we as a community, Shia Isnashi community, by having lost tawakkul, lost our intellect. This is what kills me when I think. We have lost our initiatives. We have lost our drive. We have lost our original thinking. You see, this is what is actually painful. What Allah wanted us is to be positive. Decide, be the man of decision. Try to weigh the pros and cons. Be intelligent. And after having decided, leave it in my hands, I will complete. And if I don't complete it, say immediately, Ridam biqadaihi wa tasliman li amri. I am happy with whatever you have willed, and I submit to whatever is your decision. Because in that decision, for me, there is a khair. A dentist tells me, Mullah, if you give your child these chocolates, Cadbury's and others, you will spoil his teeth, you will spoil his gums. So from today, don't give. Now, I myself take chocolates, other children take, we buy chocolates and bring home, and that young child comes and sees. He wants it. And I tell him, no, not for you. So he jumps. He cries. He moans. He frowns. He does not eat that day. But I don't give him. Now that is something chocolate. He thinks that father is being unkind. And I think that by not giving him, I am being kind. Because this will not help him. It will harm him. He does not know the meaning of harm. I know the meaning of harm because I have been advised not to give him. While I withhold it and I don't give him, I know that I am doing all the kindness unto him. He feels that the father is being unkind to me. Doctor tells me, don't give him lollipops. If you will give him, he will have breathing problem. I don't give him. He cries. The same thing happens to me between me and my Creator. When I say, Ya Allah, 56 crore ni chothai mokal. Everyone asks, 56 crore ni chota hai, because he thinks that if I ask 56 crore, he will not give. So let me ask 1/4 of it. So he's asking of 1/4 of it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَرْزُقُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. He gives as much as he wants to whoever he likes. وَيَقْدِرُ. And he measures according to the needs. Now when he knows that this much and more will harm you, he withholds. I go on asking and asking and asking, and he goes on withholding and withholding. From him, the withholding is kindness. If we understand this, there can be no problem. I give an example. People come, Mulla Sahab, istikhara. Bed. Bed? Do it again. So we do it again. Bed. Now he wants to buy that house. Shariat says that you go into the pros and cons and see whether the house is, first of all, the type you want. It will accommodate your family, yes. The area is good, good. The construction is good, good. The price is good, good. The pocket is good, good. Buy it then. No, he wants to make Allah responsible for it. If anything goes bad, buy it, my dear. Now, if you cannot buy, now here is where the original thinking and simple act of intelligence is lacking. And I fear a community which allows the simple process of intelligence to drain will soon become a community of robots. Think. You could not decide because there is some particular point. Consult. The Prophet said first, consult. Consult people who know. And if after consultations also you cannot decide, if there is anything you cannot decide, then you say istikhara. But what is the meaning of istikhara? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, every day when you come out of the house, do istikhara. Not this, huh? People have, see, the word, what it was actually meant for, has been actually transferred to mean something else. In Islamic logic, we call it lafz manqul. Manqul means, for example, salat was originally meant to mean dua. It has been now transferred to mean daily prayers. So it has become istikhara means to seek good. That means come out every day from your house with the hope from Allah that good will come and nothing bad will come. That is the meaning of the come out from the house with istikhara. That means come from house. Say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Read Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim 8 times. And come out and say, Inshallah, this day is khair from me. I hope from him nothing but good. That is the meaning of istikhara. Now tell me, my friends, brothers and sisters, my young men and girls, if a person comes out and has been taught by Islam to have that much positive attitude, that he does not come out of the house with any fear, he comes out with full hope, reposed in him who is the wisest and who is the creator. How much of positivity, how much of positiveness is inculcated by Islam? No negative attitude here. Right. Finally, what happens? Istikhara comes bad, the fellow, somebody else buys and he says, he bought it. It proved good to him. Why my istikhara came bad? Well, if it stops there, there is still some time to breathe. But then people sometimes go on and on and on. And I have on record, at least as far as I am concerned, 26 istikhara in one sitting. Why? He wants to sell that particular commodity at all costs, but now it's bad. So he goes on telling, Still I was advised by my friends to charge £50 for every istikhara that comes bad. And to refund 25 if it comes good. What is this? If we look into all this, we come to a conclusion, gentlemen, that we have lost that teaching which is called tawakkul. You see, tawakkul is something which helps a businessman to decide in his transaction, which helps a young man immediately to decide upon his career and his future. All that within the framework of Sharia. It helps a young man to proceed further in life, having full faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when anything goes wrong according to him, he believes that this is what Allah, maslahat and mashiyat is, and I am resigned to His will. If this is understood, the whole thing changes. And this is the reason why, for the Muslim, first and foremost, is to have, after having understood his relationship, to have tawakkul. That means to repose full faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then there will be no suicide. There can be no suicide. There can be no killing of oneself. There can be no munjaro. 90% of the cases of munjaro is, you know what? You don't know. You know all of them. Why does it not happen the way I want? That is the cause. Why does it not happen the way I want? If you look into it, exactly it is this. Nothing else. And because everybody wants things to happen in his way, there is a problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you will do whatever is assigned to you. Leave the result with me. As-sa'yu minkum wal itmam min Allah ta'ala. From you is the effort. Completion is in my hand. If it will be in my will to help you that way, it will be that way. If it does not, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Last night